Battle Royale by Liesl Adams, a first chapter Friday graphic novel read aloud video with the Word Nerd. An author interview with Liesl Adams. Hi, my name's Amanda Ziba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another first chapter Friday video. This week I'm going to be reading to you from Battle Royale by Liesl Adams. This book is a graphic novel, so in just a minute we'll be jumping into the pages. I'll put them right there on the screen so you can enjoy the story that way as well. But before we do that, I want to tell you a couple of things. Number one, this book is perfect for Valentine's Day. So if it's Valentine's Day and you're listening to it, you're going to love this romantic comedy. It's also got a heaping dose of reality TV shows. So if you love those, you're going to like this book. It's got a friends to more than friends little romance plot line, and it also has a villain that you're going to love to hate. So let me read you the back so you know the details about this story, and then we will dive in. But the goodness doesn't stop there. After I've read the back, after I've read chapter one, we're going to have a chance to talk with the author, Liesl Adams, and ask her all the questions about cooking and writing and art. So definitely stick around for that. Here's what the back says. When 17-year-old small-town waitress Rose impresses a famous food critic, she and her best friend Fred find themselves thrust into the tough world of competitive baking. The contest is an intense 10 days of bizarre challenges, and the competition is cutthroat. Some competitors are willing to lie, cheat, and sabotage their way to the top. Rose may be in over her head, but she is determined to show that she's got what it takes to outbake the opposition. Battle Royale is a fish-out-of-water style romantic comedy about climbing out of the circumstances you're in and making your dreams come true. I love this book. I read it in a single setting, and I know you guys are too. So let's get right to it. As we begin our story, we can see our character waking up. It appears to be a sunny day at 6 a.m. She's a little tired, yawning as she walks down the stairs and into the kitchen, and we hear two people arguing. "Did you even sign those papers yet?" the woman says. And the man says, "I'll get to it." Our character walks into the kitchen. She looks at both of the adults who look back at her, and she says, "Were you guys arguing again?" And the woman says, "No, no, not at all." And the man says, "We were just talking, hun." But you can tell that she doesn't really believe them. The scene in the kitchen continues, and the man, I'm guessing that it's her father, says, "I'll be at the office late tonight." And she says, "Bye, Dad," as she's looking in the fridge. Then her mom says, "There's not much in there, but I'll get a few groceries on the way home." "Oh, it's no problem," the main character says. "I'll whip something up." And then her mom says, "You always do. Don't be late for school. And don't forget your college applications." Once her mother leaves, the main character gets busy cooking. It looks like she's found some apples, some butter, a splash of orange juice, and she's cooking things on a frying pan. It says crumble, toast in the oven. And we can see all those steps that she's doing right there on the stove top in each of those little squares. And then she's just watching it cook right there in the oven. We can see her waiting patiently for it to come out of the oven. It's 8:30. And then finally, the timer dings. She goes to pull it out of the oven, and it looks and smells delicious. As she's eating, she looks back at her phone and realizes it is 9 o'clock, and she says, "Gonna be late." She grabs her keys and her backpack, and she heads out the door. Then we have a full page description of the recipe that she just made. And that's one of my favorite things about this book is that not only is it a story, but it includes lots of recipes throughout telling us what the character has made and how to make it ourselves if we should like to do that. So on this page, we see the recipe for apple crumble. When we turn the page, we see an outside snapshot of the building that the main character is going into. I think that this author does an awesome job of showing us where our characters are at, especially when the location changes. And there's so many little clues that let us know the time of day and the location as well. So we can see that it's, obviously not winter because there's no snow, and we got a blue sunshiny day, and we have a Canadian flag, which helps us to know which country we're in. Then we go inside the school, and Rose's teacher says, "Late again, Rose?" And she says, "Sorry, ma'am." And then one of Rose's friends says to her, "Apply to any colleges yet?" "Just one, actually. I don't know if I can afford it, though." "Haha, really? You've only applied to one?" her friend says. "I've applied to like 5. So already we're starting to get a pretty good insight into this character. We know that she loves to cook. We know that she's often late or a little bit distracted. And we know that college is on the horizon for her and everybody's kind of bugging her to do something about it. Here we have another scene change. We are at a restaurant. We can see that it's a small restaurant, but it looks really friendly. And Rose walks in and somebody says to her, "Afternoon, Rose, you've been late a lot recently. Is everything okay?" She says, "Everything's okay. It's only 10 minutes." And then her friend says, "The boss isn't going to like it." "It's fine," Rose says. "We go way back." Then Rose turns to talk to somebody else in the kitchen. She says, "Hey, Fred." "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Fred says. "Good. You?" "I'm okay. Mom's just called a meeting for the kitchen staff. I think she's letting a few people go. She can't afford to keep them. At this rate, I'll be stuck here forever," Fred says. "Ooh, do you think she could use some help with food prep?" Rose asks. "You could give it a shot," Fred says. And we can see from Rose's expression that she loves this idea. She's very excited about asking Fred's mom if she can help in the kitchen. On the next page, we can see a woman who we're assuming is Fred's mom and also the head of the restaurant. And we can see Rose kind of lurking, kind of sneaking up to get her courage up to ask. And then the woman says, "Nice of you to join us, Rose. 10 minutes late this time?" And Rose says, "How does she know?" "Yeah, sorry about that, Bonnie. Chef. So, I was wondering, since you're short on staff today, if maybe I could help in the kitchen a bit?" And the chef says, "I can't have kitchen staff arriving late, so thanks, but not today." Rose says, "Oh, okay, no worries." And then we get another great shot of the restaurant at nighttime, and the parking lot is empty. So we're going to assume that this restaurant is closed now. Back inside the restaurant, we see Rose cleaning up, and Fred says, "Hey, Rose, I could use some help cleaning up the kitchen when you're done." "Really?" Rose asks. She doesn't look at all disappointed about cleaning. I think she's just really excited about getting in the kitchen. Fred says, "You look like you've never seen the kitchen before." "Well, I don't get to hang out in here much," Rose says. "I feel like I was born in here," Fred says. "It's really not that exciting." "I feel like making something, don't you?" Rose asks. "Well, what?" That does not look like what Fred was thinking about. He says, "Wait, no, we need to clean up and head home. Those were my instructions." Rose says, "Come on, fastest dessert wins. I'll take like 20 minutes, tops." Fred says, "Are you serious? We're almost done cleaning." "Barely make a mess," Rose says. "This is a bad idea," Fred says. "Have a little fun for once. Besides, your mom won't be back for what? Another half hour?" Oh, Fred's thinking about it and he says, "Finally, fine. 15 minutes and we have to have the place clean before she's back." And Rose says, "Yes." If you want to find out what happens next in this kitchen and with these two characters, you're going to have to pick up a copy of Batter Royale by Liesl Adams. But now, let's go chat with the author and the illustrator, Liesl Adams herself. All right, readers. In addition to having a sweet treat of a book, we have a sweet treat of an interview today. Liesl, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to ask you about this book. And my first question is, you are both the author and the illustrator. And so I'm curious, for you as the creator, which comes first, the pictures or the words?
I'm definitely a pictures person all the way. I work in animation as well, so I'm definitely just a drawing person. It's for me the writing is the real practice. So I try to work on the story first and then get into like character designs and all that. But usually like in my head the character is there and I know what they kind of know what they look like and they're
Yeah.
already sort of designed in my head and the world is I can see it in my head sort of thing. So
Yeah, definitely a visual person first. Super
yeah.
interesting. If you had to pick I think, I guess, based on that answer, I know what you're going to say next, but what do you think is the hardest part of creating a graphic novel? I know it's a huge process and a very long process. What for you is the most difficult part?
Yeah, like I said, the writing is like the tough part for me, and I feel like it's something that I feel like almost like a student of writing. So I've been trying to like learn as much as I can as I go, and that's the big challenge for me. I want to be
I think
good at
that's awesome
it.
that you're willing to share that because I think so often kids or just the general public thinks that if you're an author, you're an illustrator, it's something that just must come naturally to you and you just it's just what comes out the first time. So it's really great to hear that even people who do this professionally for a living, it's something that they work at so that those of us, who are amateurs or who are just trying for the first time, like it's nice to hear that you're still learning along with us.
Yeah, yeah, I know a lot of writers who are, I think, feel that way. Like they're still like thinking like, I don't know if my stuff is good, or they need some sort of other acknowledgement, somebody else to read it or something to get that. And I also know a lot of people who do graphic novels and their drawing wasn't their first, you
Mm,
know, thing. Writing was their first thing, but they learned to draw and they're doing it. So
yeah.
yeah.
We can all learn new things, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of this, I would say show, a lot of this book revolves around reality TV and a reality TV show. And I'm curious if that was like the initial story seedling or story spark for Batter Royale.
Yeah, so partly I was very into like the cooking reality shows back in the heyday of like the Great Baking Show and the Master Chef and all those
Hmm.
shows I was like super into. And I also was a baker for a short time. I actually went to baking school in London.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so that was a month-long course. And so I actually do have a diploma in cake decorating. And yeah, so I did do it professionally for a bit. Yeah.
Very fun. So, reality shows and cooking, those were the story seedlings. But I know that those aren't your only skills because when I went to your website to do a little research for this interview, I saw the titles of, I'm gonna make sure I get them correct here, storyboarding and directing are two other titles that you have, two other jobs that you do. And I think that when people think about the skill of writing, they kind of think, or the skill of illustrating they think that like books are the only opportunity for those skills in the real world. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your other jobs and why that myth isn't really true.
Yeah, publishing is tough. It's actually you don't really make I think very few people make an actual living at it, like enough money to like live on. Um, Advances aren't that much money, and if you have an illustrator or even somebody else just helping you do the color or anything, you're splitting whatever that advance is. So it ends up not being very much. So usually a lot of writers I think have a full-time job doing something else. And mine is in animation. So I've been a storyboard artist for probably like 17 years now, and I was an animator before that for a few years, and I directed a few things. So yeah, I've been in animation a long time.
Yeah, lots of different ways that you can apply those skills, which is
Yeah.
probably fun and it keeps things fresh, always changing. Um, which leads me to my last question, and that is what is next for you? Are you working on any more books or are you focusing on animation at this time? What can we expect from you? And also, if a reader has another question that maybe I didn't ask, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
So right now, I'm kind of I'm really busy in doing animation stuff. I'm a storyboard supervisor on a TV show coming out sometime. And so I'm working a lot on that. I am writing another graphic novel. Just I also have two kids now, so that takes a lot of my time. Whenever I
Yes.
do have time, I am writing another graphic novel, which takes place in high school. And it's kind of what if geeky girl tried out to be a cheerleader kind of thing. So
Fun.
another comedy sort of thing. And I've written a few children's books, but I haven't really gotten anything like underway in terms of publishing. And I'm also trying to write for animation too. So I'm working on a couple short films. So
And if readers want to connect with you, I think you and I connected via Instagram and maybe your website. Are those the best places?
yeah, Instagram is great. I'm at Liesel Adams on Instagram and formerly Twitter. I refuse to use the new name. And everywhere else I'm at Liesel Adams, and then my website is lieseladams.com.
I will make sure to link all of those things down in the video description box. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for this
So
super fun book.
I'm glad you enjoyed.
Readers, yeah, I'm super fun. One sitting. I sat down and read the whole thing cover to cover.
Awesome.
Um, Readers, we will see you again here next week for another First Chapter Friday video. Happy reading.
Bye.
To continue reading Battle Royale by Liesl Adams, pick up a copy from your school library, purchase one from your favorite local indie bookstore, or grab it via the link in the description box below. Then be sure to check out the rest of the First Chapter Friday playlist. I've got more than 150 novels waiting there for you. Some are graphic novels, some are novels in verse, some are regular prose, all sorts of genres, moods ready for you. And I hope you'll be able to find something you love. Thanks so much for visiting my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you come back again for more great First Chapter Friday videos, teaching tips, brain breaks, direct instruction, and more. I'll see you again next time. Happy reading.